It's time to talk about something America rarely wants to say out loud. The vast majority of mass shootings and acts of domestic terror in this country are committed by young white men. Not immigrants, not refugees, not black men, not the groups we're so often told to fear. The numbers don't lie. Young white men are pulling the trigger. Now, that doesn't mean being white or male makes you violent. What it does mean is that history, entitlement, and culture collide in dangerous ways. White men in this country have been told for generations, the system is yours. The jobs, the status, the power, all guaranteed. But when that promise doesn't show up, when diversity, progress, or economic shifts feel like a threat, some of these young men don't just sulk, they lash out. And violence becomes their way of trying to reassert control. Now, this is the moment where, in order to deflect from the real issue, certain people, like clockwork, decide they want to talk about high crime rates in black communities. So let me pause and make a few things make sense on that score. High crime in black communities is rooted in history and policy, not character. Generations of redlining and housing discrimination, concentrated poverty and cut-off wealth building, underfunded schools and limited access to quality jobs created economic deserts to go along with the food deserts, while disinvestment left neighborhoods without resources that stabilize community. At the same time, systemic over-policing and mass incarceration disrupted families and eroded trust. Add untreated trauma, scarce mental health support, and the easy availability of guns. I wonder how that happened. And you see structural inequality produce conditions where crime can thrive. It's not about broken people, it's about broken systems. And to be clear, because perspective matters, even with all those factors facing the black community, according to FBI data, white Americans are arrested for the majority of crimes in this country, including the majority of violent crimes in this country. But black communities are policed more aggressively, prosecuted more harshly, and punished more severely. The result is not just crime rates, but a cycle of criminalization that makes it seem like the problem is the people, when in reality the root cause has always been policy. Conversely, the data does not suggest that the historic systemic policy issues and environmental factors causing high crime in black communities are also factors for the young white men turning into domestic terrorists, lone assassins, and mass murderers in this country. Many come from stable, even middle-class backgrounds, majority families of faith, education, food security. Their radicalization isn't about deprivation, it's about ideology. So as I was saying, entitlement and expectation are setting young white boys up to turn into resentful and raging young men. Then you add the internet and the picture gets even clearer. Online spaces are flooded with extremism, racism, misogyny, conspiracy theories, and they're tailor-made to radicalize young men searching for belonging. You get forums where anger festers, where hate is repackaged as identity, where violence gets framed as heroism. It's a pipeline that turns insecurity into domestic terrorism. And here's the part we don't even like to face. When the suspect is white, we soften the language. He's troubled. He's isolated, he gets humanized, he gets taken to Burger King. While when the suspect is black, brown, or Muslim, if he survives, the headlines scream terrorists before the facts are in. The double standard is glaring and it's dangerous because it distracts from the reality that white male violence is this country's dominant domestic terror threat. After 9/11, entire communities were surveilled. Mosques infiltrated, immigrants treated as suspects. But while policy zeroed in on brown and black bodies, the real threat was already at home. Young white men stockpiling weapons, feeding on hate online, and plotting their attacks. But we don't have to go back decades to 9/11, do we? Everybody saw 1 week ago the hopeful and baseless assumptions of everyone from governors to TV pundits, while the identity of the person who has committed the most recent, horrendous, unjustified murder was still unknown. Even though any one of us who has actually been paying attention to history could have told you with the highest degree of certainty who the shooter was, not and who it most likely was. But oh my, how the narratives and the tone and the language shifted on a dime once the shooter's identity was known. And make no mistake about it, mainstream media is up to its eyeballs in culpability for this tiresome and dangerous framing. So if anybody out there wants to get serious about ending mass violence, lone assassin targeted political violence, so we don't have to be on high alert going to church or a club or a concert or a store or sending our babies to school every day, we have to stop pretending it's somebody else's problem. We have to name who's doing it, hold systems accountable for why it keeps happening, and stop letting bias cloud our response. Until then, we're just treating symptoms while the disease spreads in plain sight.